Hi guys, welcome back to Paint with Josh. Today we did a 16 by 20 inch canvas, wicked tornado scene that's twisting and it's about to hit the ground, start ripping everything up. Is this poor cabin gonna survive? Is this mailbox gonna go flying across the driveway? Who knows? But you guys are obviously excited about painting this painting. That's why you clicked on the link. So check the description down below, find all the colors you need, get your canvas nice and wet, get ready to throw some paint on it. We're gonna do it just like this. Hey, we're back again inside the Paint with Josh studio. Welcome. Always get your Paint with Josh hats, etsy.com/shop/Paint with Josh. We're going to come into our colors here. Sap green, phthalo green, dark sienna, Prussian blue. The darker color of the blue is the lighter color of the browns. Alizarin crimson, midnight black, titanium white, cad yellow, yellow ochre, and bright red. So almost every single color in the Bob Ross color palette. And we're going to try to do a, you've already seen it. I'm going to make it up right here as we go. So we're going to try to do like a tornado-y scene and something is going to come out from it. So let's start by laying out our background and where we want our tornado to be on the canvas itself. So I'm thinking all of our clouds are going to be here. So if we wanted to sneak in a little bit of sky, we could do it right here on the side. So what color is our sky going to be is the question. Why don't we take a little bit of the bright red, just drag it out just from the corner of the brush. You can see it's right here on the corner. Drag it out like that. Maybe flip the brush over, drag a little bit of the crimson out on the other side. All right, so now we have two different color reds, and now we're going to kind of mix either side of them together. Just drag that crimson and red right onto the middle of the brush, and then we'll just dab it in like that. Get this nice deep reddish color. See what it looks like, right? And throw some up here, maybe some over there, maybe we get a little bit like that. Just dragging it in from the sides, just all crazily like, right? A little bit of a downward swipe like that. Let's clean off that color. Come over here. If you guys have never seen how I clean the brush, I have a beater bucket with an old golf ball basket down in the bottom of it, and that just allows a lot of surfaces for me to beat the brush on while keeping my studio clean, right? If my wife London found out that there was just paint spray all over the place, it would not be good for me, let me tell you. All right, got to cover the edges with that red, dab it off on a paper towel down here, and then let's come in with a little bit of our Prussian blue, kind of drag it out on one corner, flip it over on the other, and now you can have a little place where you can kind of tap it in and make it nice and even on the brush. A little bit of the midnight black, just on one corner though. Just one side midnight black, one side Prussian blue. And we're going to come up here, and just from the sides again, we're going to drop it in, spin our brush around. Then we get this little curved thing down here. We're going to try to create this little vortex. Gotta cover the sides, because we always cover the sides. And then we're going to come in just every so often with a little bit of that color, kind of mix it in with our other sky color that's over here, right? And we'll see what it looks like. We never know what it looks like. You guys have already seen it. I'm trying to come up with it right here. All right, we're gonna come down, leave this lighter area inside where we can kind of throw our clouds and shadows in. We can blend this out over here. So we'll have this nicer, softer color as we go this way, and then as we come over here, we're gonna blend in with all those darks. All that dark blue, the black. We can even go grab up some more black, because I want it to be nice and dark on this one side. So get some more black up in here, maybe some darker down in there, and you just kind of throw it on and see what it looks like, right? Don't want to drag too much into our lighter area. Don't want to get that covered too much in paint. So we're kind of staying on the edges over here. A little bit lighter as we go down. You can tell with the liquid white that we put on the canvas, you should be able to see the ridges of your fingerprint, or the ridges, the little dimples in the canvas if you're wearing gloves like me, and that way you don't know, you don't have too much. And if you've never put on liquid white before, I have a video on how to do it in my how-to playlist section, right? There we go. We're just gonna kind of clean off the brush by dropping whatever color is on it down here, mixing it with that liquid white, so it's becoming a nice lighter color. We're adding liquid white to our brush, and then we can come up here, just kind of mix out that little area so it's still much lighter than it was before. We have this area where we can kind of create something, right? There we go. Just like that. All right. I like kind of laying these out like this, and that way you can kind of picture in your mind, maybe there's a little drop down, or there's this, or there's that. and you get all these little differences and you start putting it together as we go. That's how I do it anyway. I had an initial idea of what I wanted, which is different now because of how the sky's gonna look, but it's okay. All right, let's grab our 1-inch brush and we'll grab our palette knife and we'll see what we can do. Let's grab a little bit of the red and the Prussian blue. We're gonna mix them into this kind of purpley color here. The more red you have, the more kind of lighter purpley or darker purpley it'll be. Doesn't have to be the perfect same as mine. And we're just gonna kind of start to layer in like this little cyclone of clouds, this little bit of color as we come across. We're gonna take our 1-inch brush, like that. And just kind of creating this soft little shadow in the clouds. Boom, just kind of cuts across just like that. And you can see now, if we continue along with that, we'll have this vortex that can shoot out a tornado right down around the bottom. That's the idea. That is the idea. But it's gotta look correct. So we'll take it up like that. You gotta leave some lighter areas and some darker areas, right? Let's make up a new little color. We'll take the Prussian blue, our titanium white, and mix them together over here. Scoop it up, chuck it down, mix it up, scoop it up, mix it up, pull it out flat, grab up a little bit, and then we can come in here underneath that little bit of kind of purpley color up there. And then we'll take our same old brush, didn't clean it, didn't do anything. Same old brush, kind of making this little vortex as we come around. That's the plan anyway. Okay, and these are just our base shadows down here. Let's take a little bit of that black, mix it in with our purple down here. You can even take the blue, mix it all in. It's just gonna change it and make it a different color than what we've had up here initially. A little bit more black. Just mix it until you like the way it looks. Nice little dark color. All right, maybe down here, it's gonna come around and it's gonna be darker down around the bottom. In my eyes, anyway. And you can just be very random and messy with it. Just very messy. We're pulling this one down, right? Trying to keep that lighter area above it. So we're pulling it down, kind of creating all of these little things going, and then we'll come back and we'll put in some clouds and see what it looks like. And we might have to change it, we might not. Gonna wipe off our knife, grab a little bit of the white up, and let's put a little bit of that red, just a littlest scrape, because the red's very powerful, so it'll mix very quickly into this pinkish color. So you only need the tiniest little bit. Right? Maybe there's a little bit of cloud up on top of our shadow up here. That's why I like putting in the shadows first, because then we can come in and drop on a whole layer of cloud, come back in with our brush, and very lightly make our circles, pulling it down over our shadows, right? And that way we have a little bit of cloud with a little bit of shadow, a little bit of cloud, a little bit of shadow, and we'll have these layers, hopefully, kind of leading down to our tornado. A little bit more white, a little bit of that on top of our shadow. Doesn't have to be this perfect straight thing. It can be very messy, right? And bring it up there. See if we can't sort of connect it into that one down there. And just mix it up. Mix, 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 right? We have all these differences, these different colored clouds, these different color shadows, lights, darks, all sorts of stuff. Take our 2-inch brush, we swipe it up, we can swipe it over, make it nice and soft and flat. Get that little brush hair out of there. That looks really neat. I like that. We need to have some more dark though. So let's go from that lighter blue color, mix it in with a little bit of the darker blue, a little bit of the crimson. Just change it up. You don't have to have the same color all the time. You gotta have differences. Gotta have differences. Maybe that's a bit of light coming through there. See how I'm trying to connect these? And they become smaller and smaller, and they're coming in, and they're coming in, and then it's gonna drop out this thing. That's the idea. If you're like, what is Josh doing today? That is the idea we're gonna try to create. Right? This big old vortex is coming down. Hopefully. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe it needs like more of a straight bit down here. Let's take up a little bit of our white and our blue, mix it up into that nice little color again. Just very messily mix it. And maybe we need like a boom, this bit comes out like that. It comes out around the cloud. This lighter color. Take that, mix it up, mix it up, mix it up. We get this poof, this little batch of blue right there. And you see what it looks like, and then you kind of decide what you want it to be. Right, maybe we need a little bit more dark around the edge, right? And you don't want to put a whole lot of paint up here. You don't want to be mixing through a whole lot, right? Maybe we bring that dark over here, and we start to kind of form our little, just bring one right across the top too, just like that. Because why not? Why not? Right, we'll start to create our little thing here. Right, start mixing in. We're staying in this little kind of tunnel. We're bringing it down. Bringing it down to Chinatown. Okay. We have all this light and movement and air all up there in our clouds. These aren't blended out enough for me. There we go. We have such crazy shapes and shadows. Now let's come in with a little bit of that darker shadow in here and in here. And just kind of start to blend them together. Just so every so often we can start to see maybe there's going to be a tornado pop out of here. Right? And see what it looks like in our clouds. And we go back. Maybe there's a little bit over there. Right? But we don't want too much paint. A little bit of shadowing. A little bit more. A little bit of dark on our brush. It's going to come down and make this shape, we're hoping, right? We just keep working at it until we like the way that it looks. That's starting to look good. That is starting to look good. All right, we're going to have all these colors, all these little angles, these rounded little bits that are coming down, making that shape. Back, get a little bit more black. Come in. Maybe we'll pop it out down over there. But I gotta have all these little differences in here. All of those differences. It's gonna make it look amazing. I want to have this, mix it in down here. You gotta bring it down to where have a little bit of color behind our storm back here, right? And then maybe our, yeah, that's about far enough down for the sky, I believe. Right, making these little rounded shapes. Gotta have some hard lines in there every so often. Mix up the crimson and the black. Make it a little bit different. A little bit different of a shape, a little bit different of an angle. All sorts of things, right? And then we're gonna swipe them in the direction that we wanted to. And kind of create that tunneling shape. Look at that. Really blend it out soft over here on the side, so we don't need all that. And I'm gonna leave that white section way up at the top. It looks really nice. All these down here, we're gonna end up mixing in, making them really soft, bringing it down to our horizon back here. Just like that. Grab a little bit of our Prussian blue, and maybe far off in the distance we might have like a little bit of blue sky. Way off back there. Just giving it little differences, little changes, little different things to catch your eye. Those little different colors as we go down are gonna be like, oh, look at that. See what I mean? Even that little light area on the side. Gonna wipe this knife off, man. Get my little cloud area all dirty. Look at that, we put a little white poof over here. See what happens when we pull it in. Just that little difference, a little area, little bits of light that are shining through. Maybe there's a storm in there. Maybe there's a lightning bolt. Maybe there's all sorts of something happening. We're just gonna drop it on and create our little shape and just change it up. Change it up every so often. Look at that, it's gonna fly right out of the bottom there. All right, got our little bits. Make them nice and soft. Right, swipe up, swipe across. Now it's very soft. And we're not using so much paint that we have caused it to move as we're, moving across it. We don't want to have too much movement in the paint over there. Right, maybe a little bit in here, a little bit in there. Ooh, that's too much. So scrape it away. Come back in, make our little shape. right? Because these are just the clouds. It's not even the real tornado part yet, right? Maybe it pops out right there. Bam, comes out of the cloud like that. And the more we sit here and blend these in these little shapes and angles, the better it's going to look. But the more you do it also, the more it's going to take away, so be careful. Let's see. A little bit of white in there somewhere, just to change it. Right? Again, with these C shapes like that, these waves, we're kind of creating it being round. Okay, as it's coming down, it's becoming round like that. And you can take it and pull it different directions. You can turn your brush on the side and extend everything, make it nice and long and soft. Just like we had this giant vortex that's about to come out. Just almost looks like there's not enough dark around the sides. Right, so we're going to take that and kind of blend it towards the center. Hopefully. Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see. Look at that. Right, again, pulling at that angle so we get this round sort of shape. Okay, and anywhere it's real hard, you can just keep going over it until it softens. Just like that. Yeah, that's starting to look really nice, guys. Really nice. Now, let's put something else in there. Another deeper, darker cloud, maybe. Like we got a bit of cloud that's coming in and its bottom is just back in there. Right? This weird little shape, almost like a little spaceship. The front of a little spaceship back there. Same kind of dark. I want it to be darker than this one though, because I want it to stand out in front. So we're not even going to put too many things over. We're going to go back, grab that white, a little bit of that blue, come back in, make our little bit of highlights over these shadows, right? Just like that. Don't want to have too much paint on there though, right? Just really smush it in. Then we can come back in very lightly, very, very lightly. Otherwise, all that wants to blend away with the other stuff, right? You have this little bit that's kind of floating in front. More and more we blend it, the softer it'll become until it won't be there anymore. So again, be very gentle with it. Very gentle. Let's swipe up. Let's swipe across. Boom. I get this nice little bit. Like it's just... It's going to be great. And we can make it a whole lot darker to stand out. We might end up doing that. Make it a whole lot darker. Maybe push those clouds back a little bit. So if we're going to do that, then let's do this. And we'll throw, without any shadow underneath or anything, we'll throw this real far off, thick, chunky white guy back here. Right? Leaving the dark space in between it. And why do we do that, guys? So it can blend down very softly. Not touching the white, right? We're keeping these things separate. And the harder that we push, the softer they become farther off in the distance. Right? Swipe it up, swipe it over. You don't have to use the 2-inch brush all the time. Now you get this soft little bit back there. And now I really see it. I see it coming in. A little bit of blue, a little bit of crimson, a little bit of black right here on the brush. Okay, and then we're going to start to bring it in. Making it darker and darker, and then we're going to kind of correct our shape, how we want it to be. Yeah, bring it in like that. Right, your swipes have to be the same angle though. It's critical that they become the same angle. Don't want to have it too crazily shaped, right? When we come in from this side, then you can always blend out these side bits or go back the other direction. Just like that. Got this twister starting to come to life, guys. Starting to come to life. All right, I'm gonna get too much paint up there. There we go. Again, doing that same sort of twisting shape as we come down, right? And go the other way. Do all sorts of stuff to get it to lay flat how we want it to be, right? Now I'm starting to see it. It's starting to come together. Starting to come together. There we go. Now, why don't we make another little bit of that purpley shadowy color, the same kind of 3 colors that we're mixing together all the time here on Paint with Josh, right? That darker kind of color, just so it's darker than what we have down here. Maybe we've got a little bit of far off cloud back there, maybe a bit in front of this guy. We'll see what that looks like over here. And these guys, we don't even have to highlight. I want them to be nice and far away and dark back here, like the shadows, right? You don't even have to go crazy or do anything. You don't have to be a certain shape. They don't have to connect. They don't have to look alike. They don't have to do anything. There we go. There we go. Okay, now we're going to take that dark shape down there. They're the same dark color. And that's where our little tornado is going to come. You see how I'm turning the knife kind of sideways, kind of mushing it on, and then turning it kind of vertical so it becomes less of a, you know, we want it to get thinner as we get to the bottom. Let's scoop this up. Kind of scoop all that in. And then we're going to turn the knife, obviously, because we want it to come to a point way down where it needs to be. All right. This is actually working out a lot better than taking all the time doing that. Mix up some of that purple with the same sort of shape. And now we're really discerning the tornado from the clouds in the background. That looks really neat. We're gonna see what it looks like when we pull it out though, right? And now we've gone pretty far, we might not be able to go back. So we're just gonna mix it in so we kind of create our shape that we're looking for. I don't want it to be the same. I want it to look like it's kind of twisting and curving around. And now very lightly, because there's a lot of paint up here. There's a lot of paint. So I don't want it to move too much. That's why I'm trying to flatten it down with the knife. Right? If it moves too much, it's going to grow, right? So if we have a big section down there, that's going to grow. I don't want that to happen. So I really want to smush it out flat. You can scrape it up. Scrape up the thick bits that are on there. Right? You get more, you can come back up. You can extend it. You can make it higher. You can do all sorts of stuff. Right? But just make it flat because I don't want too much thickness up there. Right? No. Look at all of that, right? Get rid of all that. I don't need that. We don't need that in our lives, all that negativity, right? Scoop it up. Wipe it off. Scoop it up. We basically laid like a giant textured mountain down right here. Is pretty much what we did. I'm going to scrape all that, and now very, very lightly, I'm going to try to come in and not leave too many brush marks, right? Swiping in that same direction that we've created the look here. Right? Might be easier even starting from the middle and swiping outwards if you can create that same shape. Right? Swiping, swiping. There we go. Nice and soft. Going at that same angle. And now we have this far away, well, not so far away, but this bit of a giant tornado here. That's really cool. Now, just to change up the color, right? I would imagine it would be picking up some brown, maybe even a little bit of the green that it would pick up inside of that tornado. So there would be little swipes of different colors, bands, right? Little bands of differences in there. So let's see what the brown looks like. We might as well, we've gone this far. So we might as well see what it looks like in there. All right, swiping, swiping. Coming to from the middle to the edge, from the edge to the middle, just depends on your lightness of touch. Right, we get these little differences. It's still not like the right shape that I want to do. I mean, do I really have to do the lines? Do I have to make the lines to make it look like I want it to look? Because if we have to do that, then we're going to have to do that. Okay. So if I wanted it, it's going to be... You know what I mean? And then we can fill it in. See? I mean, it's there. It's there. It's just, how do we make it look right? All right, I'm going to take these and make them softer on the way out here. There we go. Take this, maybe pull it in from our line. Yeah, and then we'll have to fill it in a little bit more. But that's fine. Again, we're learning on the fly, right? And it doesn't have to be a perfect shape or a perfect line. We can have a couple bits that go out like that. I kind of like that. But I want to have this darker line around the side. So let's go into our black, a little bit of crimson, just kind of mix it on our filbert brush. And we'll really just kind of make that a little bit darker and more pronounced, staying inside of our shape. And then when we pull it towards the side, let me leave 2 lines in there. We'll pull it towards the side and it should kind of blend away. All right, so maybe this side. It comes back like that. Another one right next to it. And then it should, let's see what happens when we pull it in. We should have just done that from the beginning, guys. What were we doing? There we go. A little bit of kind of downward pull on this side. And we're going to fill it in. You know what I mean? It looks better than it did. And we tried all different sorts of techniques to get it to here. All right, so you remember that for your next one. Nice and soft up in the corner. I want it to kind of blend into that cloud that's above it. All right, so remember that for your next one. And then it's nice and easy, which is what we should have done initially. I don't know why I didn't think about it like that, but see, and again, now we have these little bits of light. We need to throw some lighter and darker areas into it. So why don't we pick, that's our light side, so let's put our shadows on this side, make it a little bit darker than that other edge over here. Just with the black and the crimson, same color, just adding more so it becomes thicker and darker on this one side, and we have a little bit of roundness to it, right? Painting something round and making it look 3D is not the easiest thing. That's kind of cool. I like that. But before we worry too much about what's happening down here, we need to really make sure we have enough color and it's blended well enough that we can tell there's a lighter and a darker side. So if we have to, why don't we take up some of the white and whatever little bits of that lighter color blue that we had over here, get that on our brush, and then from this side, we'll just kind of brighten it a little. See, and then when we blend these in, it will change. And we'll have this lighter edge and a darker edge. Okay, you can even tap it in like that. Tap it in, just so it's lighter. Come back to our brush and make our little swipes just to make it soft. And now we have this lighter and darker side of our tornado that looks like it's just spinning out of control. And that is cool. Remember, it's not always just a straight, upside down triangle. You got to have some bend in it. You got to give it some love. Give it some love, give it some life. Looks really neat. Really neat. All right, now that's taken us probably an hour to do that. Now we can work on the rest of the scene, right? Get our brand new brush. I'm gonna swipe across the whole painting. It's kind of hard back there. There we go, nice and soft. The same kind of angles. Come over here, get anything we missed. It's soft up there. It's very neat. I like it. Almost need to make that a little bit smaller though. We'll have the top come around, something like that. Pull it back, and that way maybe it'll look like we have a rounded top, an edge to the top, or maybe there's some light in between. Or we could throw a little bit of clouds around the back as well if we did a little bit of difference in color back here. And just mixed it up just enough. May look like we're almost looking down the top of the tornado, which would look really cool. Now, in order to do that, we need to make the rounded back side like that. All right, have that little line up there. Then we're gonna pull him down. Right, it's not too bad, not too bad. See, when I get an idea, I have to follow through, right? The top of it then is going to be around this top here. There we go. You guys can see where I'm going with this. Can you see? Do you see? There's the inside. The top of it. Just like so. Do you see? There we go. Any South Park fans out there? Do you see? Here's where I went to Splash Mountain. All right. There we go. Yeah, it almost looks like we can just jump right down into the top of that sucker. Now the top of my painting is almost too light though, so I want to add a little bit darker, that same kind of darker color, just so we know that the clouds that are popping this out are right above us, and they're up here. Not too many though. I want to be able to tell that we have that little opening in there, right? Got still has the opening. There we go, nice and rough with it. Just so we get that darker bit of color. Suck it down. Pull it down like that, just so they blend out. That looks really cool. I love all these little light blues, darks. The little red in there is really nice. Kind of pulling everything from the side away from it, just to blend it out a little bit, right? Get rid of those paintbrush lines. Blend it out to the side. Very cool. Very cool. Sometimes it's easier to start at the edge, right? Pull it from the side, that way you'll not have any brush lines. That's cool, I like that. It's not too bad. Got our lighter side, our darker side. The dark side of the force. I don't even know why I'm doing this. Don't do this, Josh. We're gonna come down and mess it all up and then have to do it again anyway. But yeah, just something like that. Okay, let's wash some of these brushes off. See what we got going on. And we literally went through all the brushes, all of our blending brushes that we had back there. It's crazy. All right, let's take one of our 1-inch brushes. We're gonna come up with some grass, like a grassy, kind of shadowy, grassy color. So let's mix up a little bit of the brown, the blue, the red, just on the brush right here. Just get this kind of dark color, and then we can throw our grass over the top. So let's say maybe there's a hill that comes down over here. A little bit of grassy area, whatever it is, off in the distance. All right, way back there. All right. Maybe there's a big bunch of trees back here, so we can do like a different shapes, different sizes, different stuff, right? There's a whole bunch of forest back there. There we go. I like that. I like that. That is cool. All right, then we're gonna mix up the bottom. Gotta have our little foggy area, right? We're gonna mix it up, mix it up, mix it up. Don't worry about our tornado. We're gonna bring them back down, smash them on top of everything. Or if you wanted to, you could leave yours behind whatever foreground you put in. But to follow along to this painting, we're gonna do something kind of cool. All right, let's mix in a little bit of our white, a little bit of our sap green, phthalo green. Look, that phthalo green's got a skin on it, man. Look at that. When's the last time you painted, Josh? It's been a minute. No, I usually paint on Saturdays and Sundays. Let's see. There we go. Just a little bit of phthalo green though. We don't want to have it too kind of sea greeny color. We want to have some grass in there. Or a little bit of trees or whatever it is, right? Let's kind of throw up. We can throw just a little bit over the top of the tree. Don't need a whole lot. A little bit of grass, a little bit of something, a little bit of tree branch, a little bit of color. Remember, these are real far away. It's not a big deal. You don't need to have a whole lot of detail or anything in there. Very far away plants, they're so far away. Right? A little bit of dark underneath them. Gotta have a little bit of dark underneath them. And that initial dark that we put down just wasn't dark enough for me. There we go. Now we got some shadows underneath our trees. Sort of kind of pull it out or dab it out. kind of give out the lay of our land. What does our backdrop start to look like? Right? That's what it's starting to look like to me. Obviously. Again, make these very soft little circles. You get that fog creates that distance, so you don't know where the bottom of it is. Is it down here? Is it down here? Who knows? We can keep adding and doing all sorts of things until we figure out what's down there. Let's come back, get a little bit more of that green. You can come back, and if you leave a little section of dark in between, you'll have another little bit of tree that you can play with, or a little bit of forest or something. Something's living in front of that now. You see what I mean? Back in, underneath him, and maybe now there's a whole nother bit of distance back behind there. You never know. You never know what it is. So play with it. Try stuff. Try something new. You can take your knife and come back in here and throw a couple little sticks and twigs up out of those branches. Because you never know. You never know what's going to happen when you paint with Josh, right? Never, ever know. There we go. Just had to get that bit out of there. Didn't like it. Didn't like the way it looked. Did not like it. And now our sky almost isn't as dark as I want it to be. Let's get a little bit more black up into these corners. Just a little darker, a little bit more spooky. What's going on? Are these clouds? Are they not? Are they just bits of, color in the sky? Is it a storm? Make it real dark up here. But light enough to where we can see that little edge of our tornado. I like that. Don't want to get rid of that too much. There we go. And these we can just kind of blend in just to the edge. We don't want it to stand out so far, but if we leave that little bit of white line around it, it almost kind of gives it this 3D look. There we go. Far off colors. Love those colors back there. Now let's figure out what are we going to do in the foreground. Poof, that's it. Done. Painting over. Like that. Then what would it look like, guys? Let's sit here and play for a minute. Try to figure out what we want it to look like. Now that the sky looks so great. What else do we want it to look like? Really want to make it soft because these ones are way further off in the distance. You don't need them to be so bright. Make them look like they're connected to this piece so up front. There we go. That's really cool. I like that. I don't really like that hard line right there. We're going to blend it until it's just a little softer. Boom. Perfect. Perfection. All right. Make a decision, Josh. What have we planned on doing? A road. Right, but it's got to go all the way to the edge, which means we need something over here in the front. Maybe a little bit of grass. A little grassy field coming up to our road. All right, but our road's going to be very split, like it's going to go all the way. We're down here. Just giving ourselves a little bit of land, a little bit of that color. Man, it's starting to just change every second. It's looking a little bit different. A little bit different, a little bit different, a little bit different. Just a little bit. There we go. Kind of put in some of that phthalo green in there just to give it a little bit of a different color, right? We don't want to have it all the same all the time. So a little bit of difference. If you have a little bit on your brush, it goes a long way. There we go. Now we have these different color greens back there. It's almost too far now. There we go. A little bit of green coming in. Don't need it to be super thick. Just want it to be there. Beat some of that green off. I'll pull it in from our edges. Leaving some of these bits out there. These little tall grassy fields out there. Just by swiping up, you can create all these little bits. Go off the top like that. All right, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's throw our road in, guys. We might as well do it now. A little bit of blue over here and a little bit of black over there. and we're going to create our road, right? But it has to be perspectively correct, which means it's going to take up a lot of the painting. It's going to go off into the distance, right? But it has to take up a lot of foreground. If you're sitting down on the road or if you're driving, right, the road is all around you, so it has to be all around you. There we go. You can take it. You don't want to go too high though, right? You can take it and turn it off behind those little bits of grass, so we could bring more grass in over here and change the shape of it. But remember, it's almost got to go side to side on the bottom. And that way it's perspectively correct. We don't go up too high. We'll bring the grass in. We can change it, change the way it looks, change the way it sits, just by bringing our bits in a little bit more, right? And as they get closer, I would imagine they would be more textured, the grass. So we'll leave little textured areas, little textured bits, just like that. That's fantastic. It's literally fantastic. Switch back to our darker brush. Come in, make it right. That looks good right there. Boom. And we have this far off bit of road. It's going to turn around, it's going to go somewhere, and it's going to get eaten up by that. By that tornado, man. So we're going to spin it that way and come back in, fill it in with the grass until we can get it close enough. There we go. Beautiful, right? Take a step back and look at it. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous. I'm going to take a little bit of liquid white and a little bit of our titanium white and just try to keep it on the edge of the filbert brush. So just a littlest bit. And then we're going to come back and try to make our lines along the edge of the road, trying to be as straight as possible. Right, as it gets down closer to us, we'll see more of the side of the road. So we don't need all the line, and the line will get thicker, right? Now, if we can take that in one swipe or two and just pull it in that same angle, poof, we got a little bit of a side of a road right here. Just like so. Just the littlest bit of liquid white, littlest bit of titanium white. Okay, and then we're going to pick our edge down here. Slide down, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as it comes towards us, right? And all you have to do that is just push harder and harder and harder to make it extend. Come back in with our brush, one swipe. Now we got our road. That's beautiful. Love that. Let's fix this side over here. Let's see. A little bit of just very soft, touching it very soft so I don't even deposit a lot. And now over here we're touching it a little bit thicker so it looks like there's more grass. Right, very lightly tapping it in, giving ourselves our horizon back there. And then over here, why don't we even flip it upside down and tap it up like this? And get all these cool little shapes in there, these different little things. What's happening? What's happening along the side of the road? Whoops, that was a whole lot of green color right there. That's all right. Mix it in. We can come back and do our line if need be. That looks really neat. I really like it. Okay, are we doing yellow lines? Yeah, we gotta do yellow lines. Let's come back in, mix with our cad yellow and our liquid white. All right, bring it down in here. Mix it in, a little bit on both sides. And then we could do our little lines that would be, the far away one's gonna be smaller. And then they're gonna get bigger as they come towards us, right? So we could do that one back there. This one a little bit bigger, about the size of the filbert brush itself. And then down underneath here, we can kind of very lightly just kind of mix it in. When we take that with our brush that already has the dark color on it, poof, make those go away. It's really cool. I like it. I like it a lot. Very lightly gone over them. Because these aren't even the focal point. This is the focal point right here. It's fantastic. Fan-friggin-tastic. Now, let's see, just for fun, why don't we take a little bit of our three favorite colors, right? Our blue, black, and crimson, just like this. Take a little bit of that all on the brush. And over here in front of this guy, why don't we put like a, I don't know, a little evergreen tree off the top. Just like this. You see what I mean? We're touching with the very corner of the brush at an upward motion, flicking it with our finger like this. And then we can move it, and we can miss areas, and we can split it, and we can go over here. And the more we push, the bigger our tree is going to become, right? But in this instance, we're trying to cover everything behind it. So we have to have a lot of paint. You want it to be nice and goopy and thick. So come back in, get it loaded up, mix it all in on the brush. Bam, 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 nice and thick. Then we'll come back over here, maybe skip down a little. Right? Need a little bit of a branch. As we come down now, these ones are going to be bigger. And then poof, we're sitting on the floor. Just like that. Just like so. I like having that gap in between. Leaves room so you can come in and create a little bit of tree trunk. And the white is very powerful against the brown. So if you want it to be, kind of brownish, you got to use a lot of brown or less white. And come in, make our little bit of tree trunk along the edge just by kind of touching and pulling away. That's all we're really doing. Touching it, pulling it away. You see how we left the area that we wanted to put our bark, we left it with less paint on it besides down right here. That way it should be easier, to layer, to get it to stick on there. We don't want our tree kind of floating. So make sure you give him a little bit of color underneath. Kind of blend it in, and that way he's sitting up on that grass right there. Now we're going to get a little bit of liquid white on our micro fan brush. You can find these in my Amazon shop, amazon.com/shop/happylandscapeart. Okay, and that will allow you to purchase anything that I use, you can get right there. Now when we come into that green, not too much though. See if we can't. Yeah, we'll get into that. A little bit of yellow ochre as well. We have all these differences in color on our brush. Right, come back up into the green, just a couple swipes, and then we'll come up here and start using just the corner again. And this micro size fan brush is very small. So we're just gonna go over the tip tops of our trees, turn our brush when it starts getting dirty. Right? And we're leaving all these little branches, all these little separate branches, right? And as we start to need to push harder to get them to stick, you have to go back, wash that off. A little bit more liquid white, whoop, a little bit more than that. And come back in, let's get that yellow from over here. We're gonna change up the color a little bit of the green, and then start popping them in, right? Just like so. You can connect them, you can leave some shadowed. It doesn't all have to be the same. Not all of it is ever the same in nature, so it doesn't all have to be the same here. A little bit more liquid white, a little bit more just that green. So we have all these different colors, maybe even a little bit of phthalo green too. Why not? And all these little different colors in our tree, right? Come back in, start bouncing it up. And as we get to the bottom, we don't need to do so many branches. Doesn't have to be real super bright down here. Even just that, that's fine. Just like that. It's got to fade into the shadow, right? I've used about every single brush today. All right, let's come back in, get a little bit more of that liquid white right into our green on this brush here, and we can kind of place in a little bit of grass underneath our tree. Not too much, gotta have some shadow behind it. We left a little bit of that darker area back there. You pop in a couple little darker areas off in the distance, just so we have these changes, right? It's not all the same color. Never the same. That looks really cool. We could put something over here too as well, I guess. We could do all sorts of stuff. Let's take a little bit of that, and why don't we make just the smallest little house that we can possibly make. Way back there. Just about the same size and shape as the palette knife itself. Okay, all of those are one length of the palette knife, and that's all we need. This is an old decrepit building. Old old decrep. That's what they used to call it. There we go. We're going to pull it down. The more you pull it down, the closer it'll become. So if you want to keep it far away, you got to let it stay back there. Pull it out, pull it out. Pull it out, pull it out. Bam, just like so. Now, I don't want to have all of the thick paint up here. So we're going to scrape it in the same angles just to try to get some of it off and see if we can leave the roof as dark as possible. Right? We can keep that dark, then we can highlight the rest. Let's come back in, grab some of the same brown that we used right here. Come back here, touch, pull down, just very lightly, touch, pull down. And we get this far off bit of, and look, that even left us an opening right here for our door, just all on its own. Small edge of the knife, pull our door down, then we got this far away building, and it even looks like a window, and it did it all by itself. So all you gotta do is don't overdo it, right? Let it show you the way. And pull it out from the bottom. Get this old house, he's in trouble. He's in trouble back there. He sure is now. All right, let's do a little bit of a smaller tree back here just to kind of fill in the edge of our house. This guy's much further away, so we don't need as much detail. But we want to cover some of the house. You don't want to see behind it. This tree, anyway. Don't want to see behind it. Let's add him another one. Because like Bob said, everyone needs a friend, right? Come on the side, little guy. Make sure there's differences though. Otherwise it'll just look like more than one tree. You know, this ugly looking mass. So you gotta make sure there's differences. Maybe we can take the smallest, teeniest bit of brown trunk and put them on way back there. Just in case anyone's looking. Is anyone looking back that far? Take a little bit of green, a little bit of phthalo green. Just the smallest bit though, I don't want these to stand out a whole lot. Right, just little differences, little bits of green back there. Doesn't need to be a whole chunk. There we go. So long as we have something back there to take a stab at, right? Looks really good. Really good. I mean, with the house that far away, it's gonna be hard to do a little fence on him, but we're gonna try our best. Or is it just too far away? Maybe he's got a little driveway leading down to his street. Take a little bit of that darker color, same color as the door, right? He's got a walkway, a little path down to the street level there. Our little brush, very, 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 very lightly, guys. You don't want it to get too crazy. Remember, you're never going to see the whole path. Okay, so let's see. You can take it like this and bring it down this way. Like it's coming towards the road. See what I mean? A little bit of that. Little bit of paint with Josh in my life. I know. I'm terrible. There we go. Very, very lightly, guys. You just want it to kind of blend in. And then we can come back and kind of fix our bit of grass that we've covered over. It's not going to be very super noticeable. We don't need it to be. Don't need it to be super noticeable. We can always go back and fix our road. Don't worry about that. You can make it darker, you can make it lighter. You want to have differences. That's the key. Gotta have differences. There we go. Sweet, looks like a little hill we can climb. We can even add little stairs over here if we wanted to and make it look totally different. Drop a cliff down. We could do all sorts of things. All sorts of things. There we go. Yeah, I like that. It's cool. Like you could turn off right here. Maybe he's got a little mailbox. Let's see. He's got a little mailbox right down here on the street. I would say it would sit like this. Just kind of pull it down till we get this little kind of angled shape of a mailbox over here. This old beaten up mailbox. Come back in with our little filbert brush, and as long as it's dry, you can pretty much erase what you don't want. There we go, trying to fill her in. And then we'll put some highlight on them. It'll be nice and cool. Now we can take a smaller brush, wipe away all that excess that we don't want. Come in with a little bit of our brown again and say poof, just like that. Again, what happens underneath, you can always go back and fix. You can always fix it. You can always do something. So don't worry about it, man. I mean, if I was going to have a mailbox, I would want mine red. So let's see what our red looks like right here. It's almost too big. I got to use the small edge. Go for the small edge, Josh. There we go. Looks good to me. Looks good to me. It's almost like our little pole didn't have enough of a shadow on himself. But yeah, that's all you really got to do. Work at it until you like the way that it looks. Maybe if we're cool, we could add like a little bit of dark right there as the opening to our mailbox. Poof! Like so. It's really cool. I don't know why our mailbox is out in the middle of the road, but that's where he is. That's where he wants to be. So we can take our road line, come back in. Just make it bigger, blend it in with this guy over here. One swipe, because we don't want it to go away. It's got that liquid white in there, which makes it very easy to go away with one or two miscalculations, right? That looks cool. Now that we've gotten rid of our little yellow guy, let's go back and add him in. The reason I made it so small is because it had liquid white in it. I didn't want it to start growing too big on me. There we go, very light. Just a little indication of where we're supposed to go, right? That's it. Just like that. That looks really cool. This is very much up in front. We almost need to make it a bigger tree on this side though, just to make it perspectively, in my mind, have it look correct. We can take this side, maybe not as big, but cover up all those trees back there. Again, just push up, bouncing it up with my finger, covering everything all over the back until we get down to the bottom where it sits, right? It's a beautiful little thing. Take our bottom, kind of tap it out because we already have all this stuff in front. We don't need, a whole new swipe and have to fix the road and do all that. You just kind of tap it out in front. Last little bit of grass, poof, we get that little piece of that in front, kind of hides that very nicely. Get our liquid white, our green, maybe the slightest bit of that cad yellow in there, just to mix it in, change it up. Come over here, whoop, almost forgot our little tree trunk, guys. Remember, your tree trunk doesn't have to connect, it doesn't even have to, you won't even see all of it, so don't worry about it if it's not as big as you think. And if you need more, you can always go back in, add a little bit of shadow on the side of it, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, that looks good. Come up here, tap vertically, just to leave a little bit of green there. And then we're just gonna stay on our shadows using just the corner until we get to a point where we can now start using the entire bristles and pushing in and creating our foliage look right here like that. Okay, you do need a lot of liquid white in order to make it nice and thin so it will stay on there. All right, maybe on this side we'll do our brighter limbs. When we get down to the bottom, you don't need to have it be super bright. Like this one down here doesn't need to be that bright. It's never really that bright at the bottom of a tree. You can see the difference of how they look. So come back in with that same dark. Make it dark. Doesn't that look more realistic? It does to me. It does to me. Maybe put a little bit of shadow back. Ooh, that looks cool as a bit of like I don't know, a bit of something, a bit of grass, a bit of thing, a bit of something over here. Some kind of something. Some kind of weird looking bush, some kind of something. But if it is a weird looking bush, it needs a weird looking shadow to come in there. I like that. It's not even too lit up. You don't want to have it too crazy, right? I'm just gonna have a little bit in there. Just a hint, like that's a bush. It doesn't have to look exactly like a bush you've seen before. Or like, you know, your other whoever else's bush. It doesn't have to look like that. Love how we stuck those branches in back there. Throw a couple little bits in here, a couple little things that live at the bottom of the trees. Right? Just a couple little branches. Maybe one or two live off of the mailbox. It's starting to grow out, right? Over there. As long as we have that dark disconnect between those greens, right? All this dark. You don't want to cover all the dark. It looks really cool though. Looks really, really neat. I like it. It's almost like this is like the fog. You never know. We could put another little tree back here. Let's do it with a smaller brush though. The big brush gets a little bit hard to keep the right shape that we're trying to go for. Or we could do another tall standing tree. We do all sorts of things. So let's get our little micro fan brush. Create our line down the thing way back there. Turn it sideways. You see how we're holding it? Turn it sideways, just the corner. That's all we really need. Make this really far off tree back there. And all I'm doing is kind of touching the bottom to make it sit, make it look like there's a little bit of shadow back there. Come in with our little grassy brush and make it softer. You said we just added a whole nother layer of depth back there. Whatever this guy's looking at out here, that's maybe his tree. He likes that tree out here. We'll put the littlest bit of highlight on him. A little bit of yellow ochre. Couple swipes of green. 1, 2, 1, 2 on either side. I'll come back in. Little tap. Don't cover all those shadows. Just add the color kind of in between and around. And again, when we get to the bottom, it doesn't have to be so super dark, but there are bits of yellow and green back in there that make it look really, really cool. All right. Well, guys, there's not much left that I would add to this. So why don't we get our little family of birds in there somewhere, way off in the distance, way back somewhere, maybe over here. Boom. It's like that. They're about to fly out of here. I'm like, get out of here, man. There's a tornado coming, bro. Bro, leave. Let's make like leave Garrett and leave. There we go. Let's do this over here. Just like so, guys. All right, well, I mean, this one, I love it. It came out great. It was a little bit difficult to get that tornado to kind of look how we wanted it to look. Right? We tried all sorts of different things, and that's how I like to show you how to paint around here. Is you can do all sorts of stuff that you didn't think you could very easily. So I hope you guys liked it, and yeah, I really hope you try it. And when you post it, tag @PaintWithJosh, and that way I'll be able to see it. Try to throw it in the Bob Ross Oil Painting for Beginners group. You can put it anywhere. So as long as you tag @PaintWithJosh. And then when it pops up on the list, hit Paint with Josh, it will turn blue on your screen, and that will tag me and let me be able to see where you posted it. So again, I always enjoy being able to hang out with you in your home. You have a lovely home, by the way, and teach you how to paint. So if you like that, hit the subscribe button. If any part of this video is helpful to you, share the video. Say, hey, I learned how to do this technique from this guy Paint with Josh, right? And it always just warms my heart when you guys share my stuff. So I really appreciate it. Love ya, and there's not much else to say, but have the rest of a good day, and we'll see you live on Sunday for another just kind of impromptu painting. So you guys take care, have a good day, and we'll see you next time. Pow! Hi guys, welcome back to Paint with Josh. Today we did a 16 by 20 inch. Hey guys, welcome back to Paint with Josh. Today we did a 16 by 20 inch canvas, tornado scene off in the distance. Poor little cabin down here. Is it gonna get hit? Is it not? Poor mailbox is gonna go flying just off the scene. So you guys are obviously excited about painting this painting that I... Check the description down below. Get your canvas nice and wet. Get ready to throw some paint on it. We're gonna do it just like this. Hi guys, welcome back to Paint with Josh. Today we did a 16 by 20 inch canvas with this wicked tornado liquid. Hi guys, welcome back to Paint with Josh. Today we did a tornado scene on a 16 by 20 inch canvas. Lots of greens and blues. Used about 9, 10, 11 colors. How many colors? A million colors? Used about a million colors. But